Hi, I am Isabel Allende, and I'm a writer, a literary writer, but I have written several historical novels. And I find it fascinating because in a novel you can go deeper into an event, a time, and a place. And you get information that often is not in the history books. When you research journals, personal letters of people who witnessed the events, then you get another side of the story. History books are written by the winners, usually white males. To find the voices of the silent majority, as it is called, of the women, the children, the people who lost the battles, the poor, the displaced. That's my job as a literary writer. And I find that, of course, in archives, and the archives are essential. I recently published a novel called A Long Petal of the Sea, which is the story of 2,200 Spanish refugees from the Civil War in Spain that were received in Chile as refugees, thanks to the poet Pablo Neruda, who bought a cargo ship, conditioned it to transport passengers, and sent these people to Chile, where they were received with open arms. Their descendants, thousands of them, have really contributed enormously to the culture in Chile. My job as a writer was to find those voices, was to read the archives, of course, and the history books of the account of what happened, but also find the voices of the people who were the children of those passengers, and even one of the passengers of the ship, the Winnipeg, my friend Victor Pei, who told me all the details in the book that it would have been impossible to find without having his help. Unfortunately, my friend died 6 days before I could send him the manuscript to Chile, dedicated to him. He was 103 years old and perfectly strong and lucid, and he died in his sleep. So I think that documents in the archives can be like the foundation where we build the fiction of a historical novel. The characters, which are fictional most of the time, move around, move the story, but always on a very solid foundation. As a writer, I am very careful because I know that historians and people who specialize in certain themes will be looking very carefully at my book. I remember, for example, when I wrote a book about the slave revolt in Haiti, and the archives and the documentation was so hard because it was half of it in French, and because the times were very tumultuous and things were really changing in Europe day by day, and therefore changing in the colonies as well. My job is, in this creation of a fiction that is historical fiction, is to talk about the pain and the suffering of people, not about the victories, not about the dates or the conquests. That is for historians. For me, it's the soul, it's the sentiments, the relationships, and as I said before, the losses, the suffering, which is enormous in every instance and usually gets washed away in the memory of society. So I like my job, and I hope to be able to write many more historical novels like A Long Petal of the Sea. In The Long Petal of the Sea, I had the possibility of talking to people because it's a recent event. It only happened 80 years ago. When I go back in history, really back, then it's harder. But it's always possible to find in archives and in libraries and in personal journals the information I need. Thank you.